This is She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. Your host, Kinsey Roberts, interviews incredible women in the wedding industry who are making their mark and creating success on their terms. Join the conversation.
Well, hey there and happy Tuesday. You're listening to episode 7 of She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. I'm your host, Kinsey Roberts, and as always, I'm so happy that you're here with me today. We have a really great show for you lined up. I don't know why I just said we. It's just me, guys. I have a really great show lined up for you today with Alex Jones of Lovely Little Design Co. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this show. Alex has over a decade. I'm going to get into her professional bio, but let me just tell you quickly that Alex has over 10 years of experience in the marketing and PR industries, and she decided to branch out and start her own stationery and custom stationery business. And now she has stuff in shops in Paris and New York. Can you believe that? She lives in Canada. We get into that and we get into how she did that. So if you have a design business and you offer stationery and hand lettering, or you offer some kind of physical product and you have been interested in how to get your products into other shops or maybe wholesale, then this is going to be a great episode for you. But before we dive into Alex's professional bio and then, of course, the meat of the show, I am so thrilled and just honored, and it is my great pleasure to introduce our very first sponsor to She Creates Business. My first sponsor is a woman I absolutely adore. I already respect and look up to her so much. We're part of some of the same Facebook groups, including Savvy Business Owners. If you're not part of that group, you need to get in there. She has her own Facebook group called the Wedding Business Bosses that she co-hosts with her business partner, Kristen Kaplan. And I am talking about none other than Ginny Kraus. If you don't know Ginny, you're about to. She is wonderful. She has come on as my very first sponsor, and she is offering an amazing Discover the Heart of Your Brand session to my listeners, and she's offering an incredible deal for all of us. I'm taking part in it myself. Let me tell you just a little bit about Ginny, and spoiler alert, she is Thursday's guest, so you're going to get to know a heck of a lot more about her. But Ginny is actually a brand and social marketing strategist for creative entrepreneurs who specialize in the wedding industry, so that's you and me. And she really helps us develop a brand and marketing strategy that's really going to embody our heart so that our clients will fall in love with us and see us as their answer to whatever problem that they're facing. So if that issue is finding a planner, finding a venue, finding a florist, finding a calligrapher or a stationer, we are the answer, right? So together, she's going to jump into your business. She's going to help you with this strategy session and really help you discover the heart of your brand. So what is she offering exactly as a special deal for listeners of the show? She's offering one 60-minute, so a full hour strategy session with her that's going to help you discover the heart of your brand. And even if you're an established business, I feel like this could be great to really just maybe reinvigorate who you are in your business and what your business really means to you and how you can express that to the outside world. Or if you're newer in business like I am with this podcast, I really didn't dig in too deep into the heart of my brand. And so I'm looking forward to doing that. Along with that 60-minute session, you're going to get Heart of Your Brand worksheet. You're also going to get a 30-minute follow-up call within 45 days of your first session to hold you accountable. Who doesn't need accountability? I know I do. I think that's really where we make strides and leaps in our business, is when we have accountability to other people. Spots are very limited for this strategy session with Ginny, and she is offering it at a rate of over $150 off her normal rate. She usually charges $299, and she's actually giving it to my listeners for $149 for a limited time. So if you are interested in this, I highly recommend you head on over to ginnykraus.com/brand intensive. Once again, that's ginnykraus.com/brand intensive. I am going to put this link in the show notes, or you can tap the picture on your iPhone or Droid of the podcast and just click the link in the episode show notes. head over there and schedule your 60-minute session with Ginny for under $150. That is such a deal. And I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. Let me know once you've booked your session. Let me know how it goes, and I'll let you know how mine goes. I'm like I said, I'm taking part in this too because I knew that it would be great to have her on as a sponsor. So I wanted us all to get the benefit. Okay, so Ginny Kraus. And again, that link will be in the show notes. And thank you so much, Jenny, for sponsoring this month. It's my great pleasure to have you here. Okay, so Alex Jones, you guys, Lovely Design Co. She is Lovely Little Design Co. She is my guest today, and I am thrilled. So she, like I said, she spent over 10 years in marketing design and public relations. She also did a little bit of event management until she felt a little bit stifled creatively. So she started her own stationery brand, which I find incredible, particularly because she has 3 degrees and a diploma in media communications and graphic designs, along with image arts. And so it was really kind of a no-brainer for her to start Lovely Little Design Co. But, after having so much professional and corporate experience, she definitely, kind of took a leap of faith there. But she founded the company back in 2011. And she now offers graphic design, superior customer service, high quality paper goods, and custom stationery like invitations and all of the, the suite that goes along with that. She can also help with bat and bar mitzvahs, holiday parties, baby invitations, wedding contracts, and more. She is awesome. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, she has her products in boutique shops in New York and Paris. And we get into that and exactly how she did it. So stay with me. Coming up is Alex Jones of Lovely Little Design Co. And I know you're really going to enjoy this one. Let's go to the show. Hey guys, welcome to the She Creates Business podcast. This is your host, Kinsey Roberts. Today I'm here with Alex Jones from Alex Jones. Do you like how I put that in there?
There you go.
Yeah, from Lovely Little Design Co. I'm so excited to introduce her. We actually just briefly met through email and we were talking offline here for about 10 minutes and she is so easy to talk to and I just know I honestly know she's going to just fill up this 30 minutes with amazing information. So Alex,
30
welcome
minutes?
to the podcast.
We're in trouble, so you need to extend it to a full hour. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. I know you're busy. You have an awesome business, and you're a mom and a wife, so I just really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Well, let's jump right in. Alex, at the top of the podcast, I did do kind of your professional bio, but tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your background is in the wedding industry.
Okay, so I am from Burlington. I now live in Hamilton, which has kind of now become a hub for art and design and that kind of stuff. So I lived in Toronto for 4 years. I went to school. I went to university and college same time, got a degree and a diploma in 4 years in graphic design, image arts, and communications, or media studies communications. So I worked in marketing and fashion design, like doing branding and logos for design clients within the fashion and arts industry for about 4 or 5 years. And then I met my husband. We got married. We had our first child. And I was off work for about a year. And I said, I don't want to go back to work. I want to do something for myself and use my knowledge to build a company. Mm-hmm. And I never thought once that I would be an entrepreneur. Both of my parents are, so it makes sense. They're like, I get it. We put that in you. But so I've used my education, and a lot of it has been me learning on my own. And when you can't sleep with babies, you're up in the middle of the night. And I used to watch, Adobe Illustrator videos, very boring, but they would help the baby fall asleep too. So I used to just continually teach myself how to design more than what I was taught in school. And so Lovely Little Design Co. used to be Lovely Little Paper Co. I started doing branding for my parents' company and then a few friends. Mm-hmm. And then when I was getting married, I designed, it sounds ridiculous, 60 invitations for myself. And my husband was like, you have to stop. You have to stop designing. Just pick one and it'll be great. And I understand how brides now will send me a Pinterest board with like 500 different invitations. And I've been there. I've done it for myself. I spent months he just pick one. Now we're late. We have like 8 weeks to the wedding. You have to send them out. So I picked one, and he said, you know that you could do this full time. And I said, great idea. Okay. And then it started and just went from there, and it's continually just kind of snowballed. And I've leveraged all the education and all the experience that I had in marketing and branding in order to build Lovely Little Design Co. past just invitations.
Right. And so when was the transition from Lovely Little Paper Co. to Lovely Little Design Co.?
Lovely Little Design Co. only changed over in April. So the biggest thing for me to stay relevant, I know you had asked me previously in an email, you've been in business for 5 years, how'd you do it? It's you constantly adapt, you constantly change, you constantly grow. So even personally, as women, we gain weight, we lose weight, we try different hairstyles, we try different makeup. You're always bettering yourself. And for me, if you were to Google Lovely Little Paper Co., you would see my very first logo. I think I've had 4 at this point, and that's a problem with being a designer, is that you're constantly improving something. Mm-hmm. But I switched from Lovely Little Paper Co. to Lovely Little Design Co. because I wanted to expand my horizons beyond just, I keep saying just, but beyond doing invitations and greeting cards and prints. I wanted to be able to say, I can do anything, really, as women and as a designer and as somebody who's well educated. I can do anything that you need me to do for design.
Absolutely. Well, let's dig into those legs or those pieces of your business a little bit. So you do custom invitations. You also have an Etsy shop. You also offer branding services. Tell us about each piece of your business and who they serve.
Okay. So for invitations, I work with a couple companies in Toronto that stock my invitations, which is great. And people can go in and pick one, and then they send me an email and I customize it for them. My favorite part of my business is I still get giddy. It's like making your first dollar on your first job. Every single time I get an email that says, you have a new lead, or somebody saying, hi, I'm interested in invitations, I get excited. I love when people say, I love these invitations, but I want to customize it. That's my favorite. So my stand apart in my business is that everything is customized. So what you see within my collection for wedding invitations is not like you see it, you take it, that's it. I can customize colors and fonts and the wording, and that's all included within the customization cost. From an invitation from the collection. But I do quite often get brides that send me, here's a link to my Pinterest board. And like I said, there's like 500 invitations on it.
Absolutely.
And can you make something up? And that's my favorite part. So I will go ahead and look at their board and then do custom work. And then we also have the option of semi-custom. I had a client a couple years ago that liked 3 invitations, couldn't really figure out what her favorite part was from any of them. And so we combined somehow, I can't even explain to you, but it turned out incredible. And we combined different elements, fonts, colors, styles from all 3 and made it something uniquely for her. So wedding invitations for me is probably my favorite part. And also, I mean, who doesn't love a wedding, right?
Absolutely.
So, and I also do day of stationery. So that's one of my favorite parts, is that when somebody says, okay, I'm looking for invitations, and then the invitations are done, and I say, what about seating charts, table numbers, place cards? And they're like, oh, you can do that too? It's awesome, because then we carry through the style, the colors, the design, everything is consistent, right? So I'm actually in the process of writing a blog post on branding your wedding. So it's not necessarily just the invitations, it's everything, right? So your colors, your style, and I often offer a lot of my clients advice on who to contact in their area, Because I've been in the industry for 5 years, I know a lot of people all over the world. So I've given contacts for rentals and all that kind of stuff. And I find it's a real collaboration between myself and the client. It's not a one-sided business. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
And a lot of my clients have become friends, and we still talk and we still email. It's great. So the Etsy shop is my shop for invitations. I also have some prints on there. I find, so my prints and my greeting cards are wholesale at this point. Some of the prints that are gold foil are available for purchase individually on Etsy. Because I print them in bulk, but I do wholesale greeting cards and art prints for stores all over the world. So I have a store in Paris that stocks me, one in New York, and a whole bunch in my general area. I was in Hawaii, somebody in Utah. And for me, the greeting cards and prints are my fun outlet, because when I create a catalog, which I just finished my updated one, nobody says this is what you have to do, or nobody says this is what I'm looking for. That my wholesale catalogs are exactly what I'm feeling at the moment or at the time, which is why they're constantly updated. And if you look on Issue, you can definitely see some of my greeting card and art print work. So it's fun. And then the last one, so 3, branding. So branding for me is where I started. So I began working with a marketing company, and I did a lot of the branding and design elements for their clients' websites or Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest. And it was, I mean, when I was working, I guess it was 5.5 years ago when I was working in marketing, Twitter was the hugest thing. So, and graphics had just become available to be posted. So a lot of my branding work stemmed from doing social media and the beginning of that. So I learned along the way. And now I do, most of my branding is done for small creative businesses. And I find that's my favorite niche to work with, because I understand the client the best. If I were to work with somebody, so I've worked for my parents who work in the automotive industry, and I understand it and I can do it, but it's not my favorite because it's not my niche. Do you know what I mean? So when I get clients that are like, I do hair and makeup or fashion, or I have a greeting card line, or I'm, a wedding photographer, that is my favorite. And somebody that is driven, because again, with branding, it's a relationship, and it's not just, here's your logo, goodbye. It's like, you can email me anytime, any questions, you need it resized. I work with my clients so close, and that's my favorite part, is building relationships. So all 3, there we go.
That is incredible. You are so talented, and I imagine you have a ton of, you're busy. Like, that is a lot of work, but I can just see you are managing it like a pro.
Driven. Well, The thing is that, you know what I found? I used to wake up to go to work in marketing and be like, oh God, my alarm at 6 a.m. Kill me. I can't do this.
Totally.
I was never a morning person. And then all of a sudden, I had kids, and you don't sleep, Kinsey, when you have kids, you don't sleep.
Yes, girl.
You get used to it. You get used to it, and it changes. Your body changes and your mindset changes. And I started to really, really love those quiet moments. So if my son, I had 3 kids in 3 years, so it was basically insomnia with my last 2 pregnancies, but I was also awake with the second and then awake with the third at all hours of the night. And my favorite time of day now is between 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning. And I still, at least 3 days a week, set my alarm for 4:30. I like waking up and taking a moment for myself. Before I sit down at my computer, I take a moment to breathe and to collect my thoughts and feel centered. And then it's like, okay, go, because you love what you do. Right. And it's not like I have to put on a suit and go to work and take the subway or whatever it is. For me, that didn't suit me, especially after I had kids. It was like, okay, I can wake up at 4:30, take half an hour to have a coffee and write down, my goals for my day or for my week. And then we get going on the work. And those quiet moments are my favorite. And then you're revved up for the rest of the day. Your kids wake up and then you're like, energy, let's go.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So then it's nonstop. Yeah.
I love that. I have a question. You mentioned that two things. You mentioned, backing up here to the three pieces of your business, you mentioned that you have invitations in some local stores, and then you also mentioned that your greeting cards are also in local stores, but in addition to that, internationally, like in Paris and New York. Can you talk to us about how you were able to do that?
Okay. So the greatest part about the internet, social media, is that anybody can see you anywhere at any time. So I joined Etsy Wholesale, and I also have my catalog on Issue, which is a digital platform for catalogs or magazines or newspapers. And organically, I was found. So if you type in, so let's say you need to ensure, so this goes back to the branding and the marketing, you need to ensure on your website or your Instagram or your blog that you're always linking back to your keywords. And with Instagram, it's hashtags, but within your website, it's your SEO. So your keywords for that page. So if I put in wholesale or I put in retail, and then my images, when people see them and they click on it and a hashtag on Instagram, let's say, says wholesaler, people will know to search Lovely Little Design Co. Wholesale, and they'll be taken to my Etsy site where they can purchase wholesale. So it's been a really incredible experience because you get an email that says you have a new wholesaler, and you're like, what? And I look at it and I'm like, Hawaii, Paris, New York, this is so cool. And you're just, it's all the places, especially being a mom of three, you're like, I would love to go there, but at least my cards are there or my prints are there. And they're having fun in that shop, right? So it's organically. It's not as if and some things, yes, I do push and I do chase after certain blogs or certain websites or certain promotions. But a lot of it has been organically.
Now, I don't know a lot about Etsy Wholesale, but you have to be approved, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's an application process. Yeah. So there's an application process. And I've actually changed, like I said, I used to sell my cards individually. And then I realized that the cost of a card is $5 and the cost of shipping is $2.50 from Canada to, let's say, the US, and to the UK it's $2.75. So I thought I need to focus. A big part of my business is I'm constantly learning. I didn't go to business school. I've taught myself this. You have to refocus what's working and what's not and your priorities. So for myself, it was, okay, if I can get on Etsy Wholesale and have a wholesale section of my website that I've built out and have a catalog, I can contact people on my own and I can grow that on my own without people buying individually. So I have, cards in 25 stores and prints in 15 stores all over the world, in the US, in the UK, and Canada. And then that's how people recognize me. So yes, I took a gamble by taking my cards and my prints off, selling them individually, but I think it's better for the customer and for my business to do wholesale. And it's a tricky business, and I've had to teach myself a lot. But if one thing I can say to anybody that's looking to start their own wholesale business is it's a lot of trial and error. And there are so many incredible Facebook groups and so many incredible people that you can speak to that will guide you in the right direction.
That's such a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's actually really encouraging. It is to know that you've been in business for over 5 years, and you're still even saying, I'm self-taught in so many things. Also, it does take trial and error. You will have to tweak and repeat. There is no one formula for every person.
And there'll be some times when you say, oh my God, I lost money this month. And what am I going to do? And you especially, like, you freak out when you have kids and you're like, how do I do this? Like, everything that I do in my business is a reflection of myself, right? So it's not as if when I was working for a corporation, the fallback was on my boss. Now the fallback's on me and all the responsibility is on me. And I think that's why I work so much harder. And my husband will still be like, babe, you're working. It's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. What, you have to get up in the morning. And I was like, I know. And I'm still getting up at 5 o'clock, but this is pushing me forward. And whether it's I'm working for clients or I'm teaching myself something, it's so important. And there's so many people that have, if you Google things and you find blogs, like, it's so incredibly helpful. Just read and just take in the knowledge that everybody in the internet universe is offering you, because it's free, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's out there. Do you have any, you mentioned that there are some excellent Facebook groups. Do you have any off the top of your head, like one or two that you find are really helpful?
I will tell you right now, for creative businesses, I really like, I'm trying to load it, and of course, slow. Creative Superheroes is great, and it's led by Allison Marshall. She's wonderful. Who else? I have a friend that started a company. I helped her do some of the branding, but she's doing really well, and it's called The Social Society, and she helps with Instagram hashtags and social media and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And I think that if you literally just put in a search term in Facebook or on Instagram, you can find pages and people and tags that will really help you move it along, because you can't do everything on your own, and you're not going to figure out everything on your own. And I so believe, I did a trade show a few months ago that was called Coca Lily Social, and it was in Niagara Falls. But their hashtag and their kind of motto was community over competition, which I think is my favorite thing. Because we all have to work together, not just women, but like women and men and everybody in the industry that has their own business, entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, fempreneurs, like, we have to work together, because everybody has something important to offer.
That's right.
Right? Everybody is different. Everybody has something different. And I know my family always constantly asks me, Alex, your kids are going to kindergarten now, they're in preschool, like, are you going to go out and get a real job? And I was, this is a real job. This is a real job, and this is my career, and I have something to offer. And I've always stood by that, and that's why, that's the only reason I get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. Right?
Absolutely. I love
Drives
that.
you.
This is my career, and I have something to offer. That is so powerful. Yes. Well, we've talked about this a little bit, but, you said that really, like, drive and determination and kind of just like tweaking and repeating have helped you run Lovely Little Design Co. over the last 5 years. What are some tangible things that you've done that have helped keep your business running and thriving for that long?
I have had to make consistent changes. So like I have said, I'm always learning. And I always say, like, I have to do another rebrand, or I have to change this. It's so important to stay relevant. So often businesses get stuck, like, this is working, I'm going to keep doing this. And then it keeps working until it doesn't work, right? So you have to be ahead of that. So as opposed to, like, I had a Huffington Post article that came out in 2015, and I didn't contact them. I was just, somehow they Googled, they found me, they put me in the article, and it generated so much business for my wedding invitation side of the business. And it was wonderful, but it only lasted so long. So I was riding that high horse for a few months, and then I was like, okay, I'm busy, I have clients, and now I need to check myself. And I need to check where I can update and what I can change. So your website, I found my website, sometimes you get so busy that you're working with clients so often. And this is one of the most important things that I've realized in my business, is I work so much for my clients and for my business that I forget that you have to work on your business, not just for your business. So instead of just continually going and saying, there'll be another client, if you don't work on your business, there won't be more clients. And you continually have to grow and learn and change with the trends. And I'm always reading magazines or picking up a new book or even old books and changing my mind space and changing my the picture in my head. So last year I released about 4 or 5 new invitations that were very geometric and clean, and I never thought that would be my brand. My brand was very much so watercolor florals. That was it. That's what I did. And then I realized that I was not being as authentic as I could be to myself. And I really wanted my brand, Lovely Little Design Co., to be able to encapsulate the watercolor as well as the simplicity, as well as being able to do branding and wholesale. And for me, that was changing my brand to a clean logo and a clean brand image that would allow anything to sit within it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's my answer.
Well, and so you mentioned the Huffington Post article back in 2015. Is there a moment, I guess, that you recognize, or I'm stuttering. Is there a moment that you really recognize as kind of where your business started to hit its stride and you started to make, a semi-consistent income, or has it been a combination of little moments?
It's a lot of little moments, but I will be honest that every single great part is a victory. So one day I remember I had 3 phone calls from people that were interested in wedding invitations, and I was like, I made it! And I threw my hands up, and my kids were like, are you okay? And I was so excited. And then the next day I get a call from a store that wants to carry my cards, and I'm like, I'm still going! And then I found out that, I didn't even know about the Huffington Post article, and I got an email from somebody that said, I saw the Huffington Post article and would like you to do my invitations. And I was like, yes! And then I had done advertising. I strategically never did advertising before 2 years ago. And I think that's an important part as well, is that everything was organically through myself, doing my SEO, doing my branding, and reaching out to people that I knew to spread the word. Word of mouth and a referral is so important. So it was every single time that I get an article or a blog, or even you having me on your podcast. Thank you. For me, it's like, hurrah, I did it, right? Every single little thing. And as I said, every single email I get from somebody inquiring for a quote, even if it doesn't result in them becoming a client, I still say somebody knows about me and they could tell somebody else, even if they don't use me. And that's so important. Every single little victory for me is a success, and every single little thing keeps pushing me forward. And I find it's really weird. My business has been very weird. Sometimes right after I had Paxton, who's my third, so Pax is 16 months old now, I had a little bit of a time where I said, I need to take some time for my baby, and what you do. And I took 6 weeks off. And I found I was going a little bit crazy just focusing on family and baby. And then I went back to work, and every single email that I got pushed me, was like, this is why I'm doing it. I'm exhausted. I have 3 kids under 3, but I kept going because every single little thing was great. Even when somebody says, I love your Instagram post, your feed's so great. It makes me feel so good, and it makes me say, okay, so maybe I can help somebody, and that's the next move for me. Is the blog is I've given a little bit. I don't know if you've read it, Kinsey, but my blog is I have 3 posts up so far, and it's kind of just telling about my life and how I got here.
I did read them.
And I think that the next step is here's how I can help you, and I think that's so important. Is, like I said, community over competition. Is that we all have something to offer, and it's not, and it is free, really. It's in our heads. We need to not say she's better than me, she's better than me, she's better than me. I know when I look at some invitation designers or some branding companies, and I go, oh my God, they are incredible, and I'm so envious of so many companies. But envy and jealousy is the killer of creativity. That is that is a quote that has been put out there so many times, but I have it on my wall in front of me. And every time I get carried away looking at another incredible company's website or Instagram feed, I go, you are doing your best. And so you just keep going because you can't stop.
You can't. Thank you for saying that. I love how I wrote it down even. I love how you said every little, you just said every little, I think you said every little thing is a victory. Or just every little push forward. It is a victory and you should celebrate it. And, what's funny is that we are looking, and I know myself, I do it all the time. I'm like, gosh, they're so amazing. Like even all the people I've had on the podcast, I'm like, you're so great. All the things you're doing is so great. Like, how can I be you?
Yes.
And what's funny is that you don't think that there might be someone out there, and there is likely, who is saying that same exact thing about you.
Yeah.
So, they're looking at your Instagram or they're saying, gosh, I wish I was that person. And you know how bad it feels to do it to yourself. So, yes, I love that. We all have something to offer. We can all lift each other up. There's plenty of room.
The other thing that I think is when you're looking at other people's Facebook or Instagram and all of those things, you need to think about the face that we put forward. So when I did media communications in school, we studied a lot of authors and theorists, and it still stuck with me, is that the face that people put forward on Instagram or Facebook is what you want them to see. So for me, on my blog, which you said you read, I say there's always a mess. There's poop everywhere. Mm-hmm. And my husband says, maybe you shouldn't post that. It'll make you seem less reputable. And I said, it makes me seem like a human being. And when you call into a phone company and you're put through to a dispatch that's a robot, and you're like, I want to speak to somebody. That's how I see my business. And that's how I see myself moving forward is every day becoming more authentic with what I'm doing and who I am. Because my business is a reflection of myself, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Plain and simple.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's so good. Well, I have we're running out of time a little bit here, and I apologize. I am going to have you back on because you are just like you are like a book of information, and I have so enjoyed talking to you. So I would love to get some of these last questions though, because I feel like you'll have a lot to offer here, even more. Quickly, what are some tools, they can be tech or otherwise, that you use to manage all of your projects in business?
My absolute favorite website builder is, or not a website builder, but my time management and my sending out invoices and quotes and tracking clients is called 17 Hats. Mm-hmm. They're fairly new. I think they started a couple years ago. And it has really helped me streamline. I used to do all of my invoices in Pages on my Mac and save them all individually. And now it's all automated. I can go in and I have leads, which you can embed on your website. And then I send quotes from there, and they're adjustable. That's my favorite. I love Trello, which is great because you can create, with being a mom, I have a lot of different categories of things that I have to do. So I find that business, personal, kids, husband, house, like all of the different categories is really clean and easy.
I love Trello.
And I'm old school and I still use journal. So I have like my scheduler, and I look at it every single day and I write it down. I have about 15 notebooks on my desk right now, which all have something written on them. Note taking is so important to keep yourself organized.
Love it. Nope, 15 journals. You're my girl. I love all stationery and paper. So there you go.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Well, what are two things that you're really loving right now, Alex?
Myself. Let's think. I'm really liking the fact that we're moving a bit away from watercolor within invitations to being more streamlined. I like that it's cleaner, and we're doing the old vintage botanicals. Bombay Company, which I think might just be in Canada, they had all these old botanical drawings of flowers, and those are really coming out in a lot of invitation suites right now. And I like that, and they're just line drawn. So I really like the fact that invitations are becoming more cleaner and clearer, and I think that allows couples to their voice and their personality to stand out above their invitation. So it allows them to put their own personality into the day. I love that style. I think the next thing I would say that I'm loving is, oh gosh, what am I going to say?
Have you read any great books lately or an app?
I read the Amy Schumer book. I started that, and I think it's hilarious.
The girl with the lower back tattoo?
There you go.
Yes.
I'm really finding that my me time is becoming more about comedy rather than like my Grey's Anatomy, which I used to watch, but I still watch, but it's summer, so it's off. But I'm finding I'm watching Parks and Recreation, I'm watching The Office, and I find my downtime, if I'm laughing, I feel better on my work time. So yeah, so funny stuff and Netflix, show me Amy Schumer. Those keep me going.
Oh my gosh, I love Amy Schumer. I've been meaning to pick up that book, so now that you've recommended it, I think that'll be the pushover. Well, tell me what's on the horizon for you and Lovely Little Design Co.
Okay, so we're continually moving forward. As I said, I just made an agreement with a store in Toronto to carry all of my invitations, which is great. So people can go in.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's like when you go into William Ashley and they pull out those gigantic books of like Kate Spade and their line and all the like Louis Vuitton invitation, and they pull out those huge books.
Mm-hmm.
And this store, she only carries lines from Canada. And she's trying to stay local. So she has about 4 lines, and people can go in and do a consult, and they can see my work, and then she'll call me and say, you have an order. And that, like I said, I don't think I've said this actually, I'm noticing that handing over some responsibilities to somebody else is going to help me move forward. And my husband always says, you can only scale as much as you can scale before you can't do any more work. You don't have any more time. So handing over some things to other people is great. And then with the wholesale, I've sent out my book to a few people, finished the new one today. So it'll be up today on issue. And that's been 3 months in the making. So there's about 40 new cards and 20 new prints. And it's just a real creative expression for myself. And it's a reflection of how much I've grown in the last 5 years, I think.
Absolutely. And for everyone listening, I will link to everything that Alex has mentioned today, including her wholesale guides in the show notes. So don't feel like you need to take notes. You can just head over to shecreatesbusinesspodcast.com, and in her episode's blog post, you can see links to everything that she mentioned, including her site and her publications on issue and things of that nature.
And if anybody has any questions, feel free to email me. And you put that in too, because I am 100%, I'm open to helping and communicating and building relationships.
That
constantly.
Is so sweet of you. I can see that. You came on the podcast. You took a chance on me my first couple of episodes, so absolutely. Well, Alex Jones of Lovely Little Design Co., thank you so much for coming on the She Creates Business podcast. It was truly a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me so much, Kinsey.
You are welcome. We'll have to do it again. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Bye.
Isn't Alex so impressive? I was blown away by her. I wasn't surprised because she has so much experience in the marketing and PR worlds, but I was just blown away. She has accomplished so much in the 5+ years she's been in business, and I was blown away. I learned a ton. I took so many notes during our call. I'm sure you did too. So Alex, thank you so much for being here. And thanks guys for listening today. I want to give another quick shout out to my sponsor for the episode, which is Ginny Krause over at jennykrause.com and theweddingconcierge.com. She's offering that really awesome 60-minute Heart of Your Brand strategy session to She Creates Business listeners for only $149. That's $150 off her normal rate, only for listeners of this show, and spots are limited, and I am taking part with you. So she's going to be doing a session with me as well, so I can get to know a little bit more about my brand here at the podcast. So get in on that. I think it's going to be a great thing. And not only do you get that first 60-minute session, you also get an actionable brand worksheet and a 30-minute follow-up within 45 days of your first call with Ginny, which I think is probably one of the keys of this session is the follow-up and the accountability, because we only I don't know if you're like this, but I am. I do so much better when I have someone holding me accountable, when I can say, yep, Jenny, I did accomplish XYZ, or no, I didn't. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board and get that done. So head over to jennykraus.com/brand-intensive and to claim your spot with her. And that link will also be in the show notes. Jenny, thank you so much for being here as our first sponsor. It is my absolute pleasure to have you here. Thanks, guys, for listening. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
Thank you so much for listening to She Creates Business. Please take a minute and head to iTunes to leave an honest review so we can help more wedding pros find the show.